What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a match for the most recent RMC locals. It's going to be between myself on the left playing LordKnightmon, and on the right we're going to be having Lillithloop. And so this is going to be an interesting matchup because Loop can go off super crazy out of nowhere with just a little bit of memory, and I don't have any memory blockers to really stop that like I would with a lot of other decks in the current format. But LordKnightmon also has the upside of being able to go pretty wide itself and potentially go in for a lot of big swings, and so gonna have to start building up into getting to LordKnightmon, going with the Cerberus, and then TK is gonna get me the Angelmon so I can Digivolve up into that next turn, and then prepare to go up into one of my Megas. My opponent's gonna swing in with the Scatter Mode Goblimon effect to draw one, trash one, but they do swing into the Blinding Ray, so it's not gonna go down this turn unless they use something like a Deathclaw, Calling from the Darkness to be able to pop the Scatter Mode, so that way you can go ahead and get that draw and discard. But they decided to actually just go with the Cerberusmon and then put me at 3 with the Gazimon. I was going to go there anyway, but they decided that with the Cerberus they're still going to be able to draw and discard, but no Eismons means one less draw and one less discard, so that can be something that can be detrimental. But they still have the Scatter Mode in the stack, so if the Eismon goes down, then they'll have the Scatter Mode in trash, and they'll be able to pop and play Eismons and have those come out for free, potentially go from promotes or even more Cerberusmons on top of that, which I'm sure is what they're going for here. So they're going to go with their draw one, trash one with their Cerberusmon. I did give it security attack -2 with the Angelmon last turn, so it's not going to get any security check in, but it does get the draw one, trash one. Then Werewolf Mode is going to come down, pop the Cerberusmon, they get to draw 2, trash 1, trashing an Eismon, then Demimera, draw 1, trash 1, trashing another Eismon, so 2 of them coming out, which can be very scary. I do have ways to potentially go over these as LordKnightmon and go wide, but they're just going so aggressive right now, being able to get multiple swings in, be able to put the promote on top for 1 so you can swing in for another check. Now I'm down to 2 security. They have 2 Digimon on the board. I will likely be able to clear at least one of them, but that's still a lot of pressure. And then they're just going to go ahead and play the Lillithmon here, knowing that I don't really have a good way to be able to get rid of a Lillithmon on the board. I don't play things like Wyvern's Breath or the Valder Arm, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to have to think about, can I clear off this Lillithmon, and if not, then how am I going to be able to clear off everything else on the board so I can at least have a chance to survive. So we're going to start with the Starmons. Going to be able to pop the Gazimon, and then the Patamon Inheritable will gain me a memory there. I can use that memory to go up into Turimon, get a little bit more cycle in, but then I have 5 memory. I'm just gonna have to go up into Kazuchimon to recover up to 3, so that way I can at least have a chance at surviving, recovering up 1, and then I'm gonna be able to swing -2. The Angelmon effect will play the Starmons, which gives -4 to the Eismon, and then the Pikmon effect will give another -1k for a total of 5k, getting rid of that Eismon. But then I'm going to go ahead and hit an Underworld's Call here, which is going to be able to play out a Scatter Mode, and so that is terrible because now my opponent's going to be able to once again go in with Scatter Mode, be able to draw and discard, potentially go up into more Eismons, and then just putting more cards in the trash is going to help the Jackarades with the Lillithmon, so they're likely going to be able to just pop off and go crazy. They did play the Lillithmon last turn, which means they can attack with it this turn if they get enough memory to go up into Zwart. They'll be able to attack with Zwart, and Zwart will be able to bring back things like 2 promotes and just threaten to go for game. And even if they aren't able to bring back 2 promotes, they can just swing in and clear off multiple Digimon off the board to make them a little bit safer. But I assume that they're going to get aggressive here, so we'll have to see what they choose to go for here to clear off the board. But they actually just Digivolve into these Zwart for 6. They're going to mill their 3. They're going to see what they can bring back. Going to bring back a Cerberusmon, and then thinking about what else they want to bring back here. Going to decide to bring back 2 Cerberusmon, but that doesn't delete anything on the board, and it doesn't set up any blockers, so I'm just going to go ahead and swing in here. I only get 1 check with the Kazuchi because I only have 2 security, but then I'm going to be able to safely go in for game, except for the fact that I just hit Dead or Alive on the last check. Cerberusmon Werewolf Mode is going to be able to come out, pop the Cerberusmon, and my opponent gets to draw 2, gain 1, on top of gaining 9 memory, putting it over to their turn, once again showing why not having a memory blocker in this matchup is super bad. So my opponent's gonna be able to swing with Zwart, pop the Kazuchimon, then they'll just be able to swing in right here. They don't really have to think about too much. There's nothing in security that's really gonna be able to help me out here, and so gonna be able to take that first game 1 off the crazy anime style Dead or Alive coming out the last check. Now, going on into game 2, I am going to have my opponent go first, so that way I can get a little extra draw, a little extra resources, and LordKnightmon a lot of times looks to play a little more reactively to my opponent. So I'll get a Patamon, 2 Pulse ones out, but my opponent's going to swing in with the Scatter Mode, drop off 2 Nidhogg's off of there, so gaining 2 memory off of there, wondering what they're going to want to play off of this. After a little bit of thought, my opponent is just going to go ahead and play down a Cerberusmon so they can set up to either go into something like Lilith Loop. After this, they could potentially go up into Werewolf mode just to get the draw and cycle, so we'll have to see what they want to go for, but I'm just going to go ahead and swing in with the Pulsemons. They could potentially just get deleted by things like Deathclaw, so I just want them off the board, get those swings in, and then I can build up to Angelmon and Raising, start to build up, and hopefully hit LordKnightmon, which we did miss on the first game, and hopefully going to get it in going into the second game, because being able to play out things like Knightmon will definitely help me out in this matchup as far as aggression wise. So my opponent's going to go ahead, swing in, hit the TK, and I'm going to go and grab the only card in there and recover up, and then they're going to go ahead and play down the Mimi, go down to 0, and I'm going to go to 3 no matter what, so likely going to go ahead and see a 3 drop come out of here. But the thing about what they want to commit here, because both their Digimon are suspended, and so they actually end up just going with the Cerb, thinking that if their Werewolf goes down and their Gazimon goes down, then they're going to need something to be able to go up into Loop potentially, but this does give me a lot of memory. Sitting at 6 makes it so that I could potentially go up into any Mega that I want to, and with the Angelmon at being 3 or lower, I am going to be able to get the effect going, so I actually decided to go into WarGreymon here. This is going to make it so that I can go swing over the Werewolf mode, -6 to be able to pop the Cerberusmon. If my opponent plays something like an Eismon's out of here, I will be able to clear that as well. So gonna go ahead and swing over the Gazimon. Both Angelmon effects are gonna proc, and they're gonna drop down a couple Cutemons. I'm gonna go into Unimon as of right now. That is my only protection for blocker, but my opponent doesn't have anything on the board. I don't believe they're playing any hybrids in the list, so I don't really have to worry about that, but I did have to take my last security to clear what was on the board. So blockers in this list are gonna be super huge, so these and the Pitomon are going to be very big for me to find in these later stages of the game, because right now my opponent's pretty much just sitting on, if they promote the Gabumon and they Deathclaw my Unimon, and then they drop an Eismon off of the Demimera discard and go into Ginkaku promote, they can just go for game. So I'm going to have to think about that. Going to go ahead and swing. I can't unsuspend because I don't have any security, but I can go ahead and play down the Starmons off the Angelmon effect, which I can use to Digivolve on top of and get some cycle going if I need to. But I'm just going to go up into Angelmon. This is going to put my opponent at 1, give them minimal memory, while also setting up to go into another Mega here, and I'll have another Angelmon inheritable on the board. If something like my WarGreymon does go down for some reason, having the Angelmon is going to be fairly big, because I want to be able to drop things like Lucamon so I can recover up here, or just any rookies like Bushi will be nice to drop out, but I do need to find Lucamon or more blockers for the defensive capability, because Deathclaw just opens me up way too much right now getting rid of my Unimon. My opponent does have the Deathclaw in hand, I believe, and so they could use to pop it here. They decide not to. They're just going to go ahead and swing in and go down to the Unimon blocks, the way they can get the draw 1. Discard 1. They do have the Eismons, but I assume that they don't have the promote to be able to go in for a game, because if they did Deathclaw tapping Mimi, they would stay at 1 memory. They would be able to pop the Unimon, drop down the Eismons, and if they have the promote, they can just Digivolve on top and rush for game. I do see 2 Jack Raids though, so they could potentially go up to 3, but it doesn't look like they have a Cerberusmon in hand. If they did have the Cerberusmon in hand, they could potentially Digivolve up for 3 and then potentially go in for the Werewolf mode, but I'm going to go ahead and swing in, no effect off the WarGreymon, swing in with the Turimon, and then no Dead or Alive or anything coming out this time, so I am just going to be able to swing in and take game 2 going wide on the board. So going into game 3, my opponent is going to have me going first, of course, and I'm just going to start off by giving them 1 with the Turimon building up into a champion, and they're going to give me 1 going into Eismon building up into their champion. Now, I'm considering if I want to promote or not. I don't know exactly what can clear me out here, but I am scared about potentially having my only stack cleared, so I decided to stay in back, go in for the Knightmon here. My opponent's going to hit the Analog. I'm going to grab another Knightmon because I didn't really want to Digivolve my Knightmon in Raising, because I want that for the LordKnightmon, but now having another one in the hand is going to make it so that I can drop the Knightmon next turn, and I'm just going to build up into LordKnightmon. I feel much more comfortable that this isn't going to get deleted, and I'll be able to hatch, start building up and Raising again next turn, while also being able to swing in with the LordKnightmon. We know that I have the Knightmon in hand now, so if things like Eismons come out, I should potentially be able to clear them, especially with the Pikmon inheritable being able to come in as well. But my opponent's going to go ahead and discard. No Eismons coming out for free right here. They can get another Scatter Mode in Raising, but no free Eismons coming out is pretty big, because that means they're not going to be getting as crazy offensive as they could have been. But 2 Scatter scatter modes on the board right now, plus another one earlier, is a lot of value for the purple player here. It's going to be kind of hard for me to get rid of all of this because they're just going to be able to draw and discard so much. It's very unlikely that they're not going to be able to hit Eismon here to be able to go down. I am going to swing into the Lillithmon. I am sitting at 1k DP higher than the Lilith, so I won't be going down. Luckily able to survive that swing, and then I can just go ahead and put my opponent at 1. I can't play the Pedo here. My opponent's going to swing in here. I'm thinking about if I want to block or not. They could potentially not go down, but I wanted to go ahead and block this once they committed the attack, because that way I can get a block, save a security. If I didn't, they could potentially just Deathclaw and get rid of my Pedomon without it blocking, and then I wouldn't be able to save that aggression, save that security check. So I do decide to just block there, see what they're going to go for. They do have some pretty good discards here. Eismon's allows it to be played for free. Nidhogg, gain a memory. Underworld's Call, draw a card. All very good effects when discarding. So now they're going to swing in. They hit the LordKnightmon, which means they get to draw 3, discard 2 once again. So a second Eismon's coming out here. So that is going to be a bit scary. They could potentially go in with 2 promotes on top, swing the last 2 checks. They could also swing over my Pedomon if they want to, just so that there's no more blocker on the board. But they are going to go ahead and commit to swing to security. They hit the Unimon, so it does go down. It's much better if it goes down than if it does survive, because then I have to take care of it later, and then they could potentially just get more swings in with it. So they are going to go and swing with promote. That time it hits Blinding Ray, so that's not going to help me. And once again, I'm sitting in a situation where I'm going to be at 0 security, and I'm just going to have to prey on blockers as well as removal to get me through this. But as of right now, they can't threaten to go for game because they don't have enough memory. If they have something like Jack Raids to get up to 3, go into Cerberus, and then go into Werewolf mode, they definitely can go in for game. But if they had that, I think they would have went for it. They do have the Cerberusmon, but looks like either not missing the Jack Raids or missing the Werewolf mode, so that is going to put me at 3. I'm going to go ahead and swing in with the 8mon over it, so this way that if they do play an Eismon's out, I will be able to delete it. And they do play the Eismon, so now I'm going to go and swing LordKnightmon, drop Knightmon, give -4, Pickmon, give -1, so that's the -5 for the Eismon. So I did lose a swing going in with the 8mon over the Cerberusmon, but was able to clear my opponent's board, so now that they don't have anything going for me. And I'm going to go ahead and play out the TK. No security for me to search, but I do put my opponent at 1, so limiting the things that they can do here while also making it so that I'm going to go to minimum 3 next turn, and that will definitely be helpful because I don't want to get choked these next turns. I have the Knightmon out. Most of my Megas Digivolve for 3, so I want the 3 memory to get up into my Megas, start to be able to go in for game, because as of right now, I do technically have the swings to be able to go in for game, and I can threaten to drop something like Bushi off of LordKnightmon, which would only put me in a better position here. So my opponent's going to have to find a way to get through this, try to clear something off the board here while also just not going down, but it's definitely not going to be an easy task with only 1 memory. You can potentially Jack Raid up, play down a rookie, and then Deathclaw that rookie to be able to pop either my 8mon or a Pedomon. That would slow down the checks that I do have and then force me to essentially have Bushi for game. So they're counting their discard right there to see what Jack Raid's going to do for them, and I think they could potentially have something to do. I did see a glimpse of a Deathclaw in there. I just don't know how many Jack Raids they have to be able to go up. I do believe that they are in the 20s in their trash, and so each Jack Raid is going to be able to gain them 2. So if they play 2, they could go up into 5. Going up into 5 would mean that they could play a rookie for 3, Digivolve into Ginkaku Promote for 2, and swing, but then I block with the Pedomon, and so that doesn't go in for game. You're going to need to have to do something with Deathclaw, so we'll have to see what they got here. They're going to go ahead and Jack Raid up, be able to gain 2, Jack Raid again, go up to 5, so once again they can double Jack Raid up to 5, but we'll have to see what that can do for them. They can't really play anything out, like they can't play out Cerberusmon, go into Werewolf mode, they can't hard drop Promote, they can play a rookie and Digivolve into Promote, but that doesn't really help too much. So they are going to go ahead and use the Calling in the Darkness. That's going to allow them to grab back 2 Digimon here. They grab back the Eismons, and I think they have to grab back a Nidhoggmon here, so they are going to grab those 2 back, but that's still not going to be enough memory to be able to do what it is that they need to do, because they can play the Scatter mode here for 4, go to 0. They can Deathclaw the Scatter mode and then discard the Nidhogg to stay at 0 memory. They're going to pop the blocker there, so that way I don't have any more defense. Discard the Nidhogg, go to 0, discard the Eismon, but now they would need 1 more memory to go into Promote. They just don't have the 1 extra memory to go in. They would need another way to discard a card to discard another Nidhogg, or they would need another Jack Raid in hand, and just wasn't going to be able to do it here. So think about if there's anything that they can do, but for the most part, I think this might just be game. Because I have the 3 swings on board, I can either drop down the Bushi, or I can go ahead and go into the Kazimon on top of the TK to be able to get that 4th swing. So I'm going to go ahead and Digivolve up. I do swing LordKnightmon. LordKnightmon makes so I can drop Starmons plus Pikmon, deletes Eismon, swing in with the 8mon to play around the Deathclaw swing Knightmon. I hit Jack Raid, but I'm still at 2 memory, so I'm going to be able to go into the Kazimon for 2 and then be able to swing in and go for game. And that is going to be today's match, so if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe because I'm going to be bringing you even more BT7 content and BT8 coming up soon. But with that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll catch you all next time. Peace out.